We're at the famous Central Air Force Museum at Monino, and one of the most interesting displays, especially for Americans, it's the first display you see when you walk inside the door or inside the gate here at Monino, is the Tupolev Tu-4. Now for Americans, they're going to look at this and say, oh, this is what Russians do. They copy everything American, because the Tu-4 was reverse engineered from, of course, Boeing's B-29 Superfortress in 1947 from a number of B-29s that had landed in Russia and were kept by the Russians. The Americans actually asked to have them returned. The Russians refused, and they did a magnificent job of re-engineering the aircraft from those planes that had landed in Russia. But one of the things that people get wrong about Russian aircraft is that while the Tu-4 is certainly absolutely reverse engineered from Boeing's B-29, not all Russian aircraft are directly reverse engineered from their American counterparts. In fact, what winds up happening is that aircraft design, like yacht design or Formula One race car design, tends to gravitate toward a consensus where all of the best aircraft in a category begin to look similar to one another. Now, while this is a direct copy of an American aircraft, as you get into the fifth generation aircraft that we've been seeing at the air show all week, when you start to look at aircraft like the Su-57, which does bear a resemblance to the American F-22 Raptor, they're not exactly the same. In fact, there are significant differences, and one of the reasons why the two planes look very similar is because once you arrive at a design and engineering consensus for a very specific purpose, the aircraft tend to look fairly similar, just like Formula One cars look similar or racing yachts look similar. But in the case of the Tu-4, well, it is a direct knockoff of a great American design. However, the Russians kind of did us one better. They took out the 50 caliber machine guns and replaced them with 20 millimeter cannons on the top. If you know a little bit about the history of the B-29, you know it had terrible problems with its engines. The Russians were able to develop some new engines that weren't nearly as problematic, and the aircraft had a limited degree of success in Soviet service. So for Americans, it's an exciting display to see, but it's not the only thing to see here at Monino, because this place is full of incredible displays and remarkable history of Russian aviation. Let's check it out.